Welcome back to another Car Ride Convo with Coach Nicole. On this series, we are talking about your impact and your influence on your athletes through the things you say. In the first episode, I took you through a reflection on thinking back to your past, things that were said to you and the impact it had on you. From there, I wanted to teach you a technique that's going to help you check in with yourself, a self-awareness technique that helps with self-regulation. And the purpose of this technique is to better your communication with your athlete. At times when we're having a bad day, or there's those moments where we're not in the best place, but we still have a conversation with our athletes, those can end up being more unproductive than we want them to be. And so I'm teaching you this technique so that when we're having an off day or a bad moment, how can we make the most of the conversations with our athletes? And then how can we get the most out of the good days as well? How can we make those even better, which I think is so important? The technique that I'm teaching, it's called performance zones. Again, it's a self-awareness technique that's going to allow you to check in with yourself, know where you're at, and adjust from there, which is so important. Now, I like to keep things simple, especially if they work. And performance zones is very straightforward. It's a traffic light. So far, we've gone over red and green. I always save yellow for last. And really quickly, I'll go over red and green, and then we will cover yellow today. So when you are driving and you pull up to a red light, you are supposed to stop. And when we find ourselves in red, that is exactly what we want to do. We want to stop and regroup. Take a minute, take a few breaths, regroup. Because when we're in the red, we're spiraling. Things feel out of control. Things feel chaotic. It feels like everything's going wrong. Now, on the flip side, last week we went over green. When we are driving and we pull up to a green light, we go. And that's what we want to do when we find ourselves in the green. We want to go because we're flowing. Things are working. It feels like nothing can go wrong and everything is going right. It's a very fun place to be. And it would be great if we could be there all the time, but that's not realistic whatsoever. Now, today we'll be going over yellow. When you are driving and you pull up to a yellow light, what are you supposed to do? I'm hoping most of you said slow down or proceed with caution, and that's exactly what we want to do when we find ourselves in yellow. We want to try our best to just slow things down. Because when we're in the yellow, it's a very funky place to be because it's the in-between. Some things are going well, some things aren't going well. It's very inconsistent. You just feel very just one of those days. So we want to slow things down when we find ourselves here. So now what we're going to do is we are going to walk through what your yellow looks like specifically to you. As I've been saying in the last episodes, your zone looks different than everybody else's zone. There may be some similarities, but most of the time our zones are very, very different depending on who we are as a person. And so we want to get a better understanding of what our yellow zone looks like. So I want you to take out a sheet of paper, notes in your phone. If you really don't feel like writing it down, that's fine. Do it in your head, but I do find writing things down, it just gives you a different perspective looking back on it. So, okay, we are going to go through the yellow again. Slow down because it's very inconsistent. We're in an inconsistent place. So I want you to think of a time where you were in the yellow. At work, in conversation with your athlete, while watching them before a game, or before or after or during a game. What did that yellow look like? Everything about it. And now I want you to think about certain tendencies when you're in the yellow, maybe things that you say, things that you do when you're in the yellow, something consistent within that. What emotions do you feel when you're in the yellow? What thoughts? is your mind telling you when you're in the yellow? What are you focused on when you're in the yellow? How does your body feel when you're in the yellow? Think heart rate, breathing rate, muscle tension. And now you have your yellow zone. So in total, you have red, yellow, and green. I challenge you this week to be checking in with your zones and have markers. Maybe every time you get in and out of the car, before and after your athletes' games, checking in with the zones. Maybe certain points at work, checking in with the zones. This is going to get you in the habit of checking in with yourself, becoming more self-aware, and then helping you to self-regulate to make the most out of the good and bad days. Next week, I'm going to do a review and just give you some tips when using the zones. So stay tuned. Hope you have a great day. Thanks.